So recently I had somebody ask me on the channel, is that Bob M's DFXL behind you? Did he sell his extra one? Stay tuned for the story. So first, let's go over the differences between the Quest and the DF. The Quest was pretty much one of the original Velomobiles, and it's been in production for about 25 years, I believe it is. This particular Quest is the Flaming Eyeball 2, aptly named because the Flaming Eyeball 1 was sold, if you'll recall. So it's kind of become a brand with me, and this is why. And you can find out the story of how I actually came to name it the Flaming Eyeball, and I'll link that in this video here. I was able to get this one about three and a half years ago, something like that, from the original owner. This particular Quest is a Bluevelo carbon Quest. The carbon Quests all were made by Velomobiel.nl, and the ones that were sold by Bluevelo were then assembled in Canada and sold from there. It's completely carbon with the exception of the frame inside. The boom and the rear swing arm are aluminum, so it's not one of the latest Quest where it's completely carbon. This is a carbon Quest. All of the graphics on this Quest are vinyl, and so they're all removable, which is what I wanted in case an opportunity ever came up for me to go ahead and move on with this one. Will that be this opportunity? I really don't know yet. On this side, I have a DFXL. It's made by Inner City Bikes, and it's a Daniel Fenn design. It's one of his, I believe it's one of his first designs after he left Velomobiel.nl and went over to Inner City Bike. And this is called the DF. This is the XL version. So it's a little bit bigger and it's a little bit longer. In comparison to the Quest is a little bit wider than the DF. The cockpit opening on the Quest is quite a bit larger, actually. It's very easy to get in and out of the Quest. The DF, on the other hand, has a cockpit opening that is about 4 inches shorter than the Quest. It is a thinner bike, so when I'm riding it in the Quest, I have elbow room. When I get into the DF, my elbows are all the way up against the sides, and it's a tiller steering. Both Velomobiles are tiller steering. This particular DFXL came to me by way of a friend. As some of you may have guessed, it was Bob. You've seen Bob ride with me in some of the cap-to-cap trail rides and the 6-pillar Century. This particular DFXL, Bob purchased as a spare. Bob so loves to ride Velomobiles that he had a crash in his first DF, and because he was out of commission for about 6 weeks and he couldn't ride, when he was able to buy another DFXL, he bought 2 of them. Because if you recall way back, probably about 3 or 4 years now, I bought Bob's Sprint. So he didn't even have a Trike to ride. All he had was his Velomobile. He was out of commission for about 6 weeks and didn't even have a Trike to ride because he had already sold that to me. So the opportunity came up for me to test this Velomobile to see if it's something that I may want to keep. I really haven't had a chance to ride the DFXL yet, and so I'm going to be taking my time and doing some riding in that. The installation and removal of the carbon fiber hood for the DF is very easy. It's got a couple of bungee latches in the back, and it just slips over the front, and it's held in place by tension. Meanwhile, the carbon race hood is very easy to install. It has carbon fiber latches on the inside that, when the hood is installed, are stretched out and fastened to the side of the cockpit opening. And now the Quest. This is a modified Flevel roof. It has a longer windshield on it, and this is used pretty much exclusively when I ride this Velomobile. I extended the windshield because I didn't like to have the wind going directly in my face all the time, and this has made a huge difference. It is great for the summertime because it allows a lot of cooling air to enter through the sides of the opening. As you can see, I don't take off the Flevel roof completely. When I fold it forward, I put a rag on it's a microfiber cloth, so it keeps the scratches from both the Velomobile and the windshield of the Flevel roof at a minimum. This is the race cap that was built by Wim Schirmer. This one is slightly modified with the windshield to keep it a little bit stiffer. I need to put some retaining clips on it or something so it doesn't fly up when I'm using it, but this windshield has been much stiffer when going high speeds, it doesn't collapse. And as you can see, it easily installs on the Quest, and it's got a couple of Velcro straps on the inside that hold it on and keep it securely in place when riding. All right, so this is going to be the first significant ride with the DFXL. I've got it set up for me, and we're gonna give it a go. Battery's charged up, everything's charged up, ready to go, and I think it's in the right place. So I'm gonna take it out for a short ride, probably do my 5-mile loop, something like that, and we're gonna just check it out, see how it feels. Okay, so as I've stated before, it's a very tight fit in here. Yeah, it's a very tight fit, but I think once I get going, that'll take care of itself. I put the windshield up. I'm trying this the old-fashioned way. This DF is much more cramped in comparison to the Quest. Maybe it's because I'm more significant inside of it. I don't know. I don't really have any place to mount my GPS right now. I mean, I have a place for it, but I haven't mounted it. So, like I said, this whole thing is just much more cramped than the Quest. Right. So, I've just done my 5-mile test run. I'm showing 5.3 miles. The average speed was 18.85 miles an hour. The max speed was 33.48. Now this is over about 85 feet of climb and about 98 feet of descent. So we'll say for the most part that's flat. And I can tell you already, there's 2 things that I would change right off the bat. I would give myself a little more elbow room, and I would definitely put elastomers in it because of the rocking motion in the Velo when I'm pedaling it. But I do have to say, my first ride in the DF, and it was a good ride. It's about 85 degrees out right now. You know, and it's a Sunday evening, so I went out on the roads. There's hardly any traffic. I think I was passed by 2 or 3 cars. I did it the least aerodynamic way you possibly could. I have the windshield on. I didn't have a race cap. I didn't have a tonneau cover. I didn't have anything on. I just used the windshield. I'm also using the front end cap, the top cap that has the NACA duct in it, and that did seem to provide quite a bit of cooling air on my knees and on my upper body. I could feel the air coming through really nicely with that NACA duct in the front there. Yeah, very nice piece of equipment here. Okay, so I'm out for another day of testing on the DF, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the back of the seat and I'm going to take these seat rails that are in here and I'm going to move the seat rails up 1 more notch, and that will put my head up a little bit, and we'll see if that makes a difference with the way that it rides and the way that it feels. Because yesterday when I rode it on that first test ride, it felt like my head was too low. Okay, so that run was a little bit better, sitting up a little bit further. I wouldn't think that bringing the back up like that would have made that much of a difference, but it seems to have made a difference. Just checking the statistics quickly, looks like my stats were about the same. Hit 35 miles an hour for the tops. I averaged 18.9 miles an hour, and that was even going kind of slow. I was kind of taking my time today. Huge difference, I can tell a huge difference from the DF with springs to the Quest with elastomers. I did notice a big difference in the way I held my arms today. I pushed the tiller up a little bit more this time, and I seemed to have a little bit less rubbing of my elbows on the sides. But in doing so, I also noticed that because I don't have any shoulder pads in the DF, in the sides of it, that on some of the roads where the road was slanted for a long time, like for a curve for a car, I wasn't going car speeds, so I kind of slid off to one side in the Velo. And I noticed that when I pulled the tiller back and my elbows could connect with the sides a little bit more, and then I used my forearms a little bit more to connect, then it seemed more stable inside the Velo overall. Still have the rocking motion when it comes to the pedaling because of the springs, but we'll keep testing and see how this goes. Yep, stay tuned to see where we're gonna go with this. Until next time, cheers.